This is my solar system right now. It is an incredibly cloudy day. Let me show you guys. Let's see. The sun, it is 10:40. There is no real sun out. It is all super cloudy. And I'm still able to get 1.4 kilowatts. Right now, we're washing clothes and the dryer is drying. It will intermittently cut on and off, and you'll see it jump up to about 9 to 10 kilowatts. So when I built my system is 18 kilowatt system, and I have 3 power walls. So I built it in the essence to kind of accommodate for days like this that are incredibly cloudy. And you'll see, I'll show you the solar panels themselves. They did an awesome job of them. It's 16K across the back, and the remaining 2K is on the side there, west facing. So this is all south facing, and that's west facing. Yeah, that's my neighbor dog, so I came back on the inside. So I've been, and as you can see right here, is 6.97. So the washer must be going out and the dryer's kicking in, right? This whole week has just been tremendously cloudy. Last week, as you can see, it's probably the lowest production that I've had so far. And I've only had the system active for about a week now, right? Saturday was a little bit better, still cloudy. And for Saturday and Sunday, it was both extremely cloudy and raining. And at some points, I was able to get 14.6 kilowatts. So very impressed on how much solar energy I'm able to get on some incredibly cloudy days. A little bit more, this still, as I go through these, every one of these days were incredibly cloudy. And this is probably the best generation, Thursday, and then Wednesday, and then the day that it was installed and turned on, practically nothing. But when you look at the consumption for the house, let me go back to the impact. Uh, Yesterday we were 79% because my power walls weren't charged up to 100%, and that's the week. Let me change it to the day. So yesterday, yeah, 78%, and that's because my power walls didn't get up to 100%. They only got up to 60%. And then 96 the day prior to that. Again, these are all super cloudy days. And my power walls then were only charged up, I think, to 75%. 100% totally covered by Powerwall and solar. And as you can see, the Powerwall did the greatest amount because it starts at about 4 o'clock, no, about 5 o'clock in the afternoon and goes all the way to 7 o'clock to 7:30 the next morning before solar starts to kick in. If I'm not doing any, stuff around the house, it starts to kick in because our usual home load is about 1,000 kilowatts. So usually by 8:30, 9 o'clock, even on a cloudy day, we have at least 1,200 kilowatts coming in. So it's enough to maintain the existence of the house and trickle charge the battery until more solar comes into play. And then that Thursday, which was the day after the system was officially turned on. The system was turned on at like 4 o'clock in the evening. Again, we had some grid there, and the power walls were basically at 40%. And then the day of, right? So we'll go back and look at those days where I'm talking about the power wall. As you can see, oh, if I can get it to work here, yeah. The max was 83, and that was at 3 o'clock. So there's really no power coming in. If you look at the point where it stopped going in, yeah, about 83%. And Oh, I'm sorry, that was the day of. That was the next day. This was the only day the Powerwalls actually made it to 100% and stayed at 100% at about 1 o'clock. They had filled up. That was the only day. Again, that was a heavily cloudy day, but we got some sun at probably like 10 to about 1. And then the power was shut off. So in that 2-3 hour time frame, we were able to get enough power to fill up the power walls. And as you can see, they do really great all day, cover me. And you can see the dead parts right there after about 2-3 o'clock. On the left hand side is when the power wall meets the threshold. I have it to cut off to keep for backup power. And this morning, again, we didn't have a lot of power. So the power wall hit its threshold and turned off giving power at around, what is that, 3 o'clock, 2:40, 2:30. So we've been running on grid power since then, and we've had solar coming in right now. So you can see this is a overview that overlays all of them, where it's Powerwall, the grid, and then now the solar is kind of building up on an incredibly cloudy day. So if you look back, again, when the Powerwall isn't completely full, you have that little bitty load that goes over, usually about 9 kilowatts. 15, I think, is the most I've had. And that's when the Powerwall was at 60%. And as you can see here, in this area right here is where the dryer, my wife had to dry something for the kids early in the morning, and it exceeded, again, what the Powerwalls can provide, because they were pretty low, getting to my shut off threshold, and solar hadn't kicked in yet. And this was the 100% day, where it's Powerwall from this whole day starting at about 4:30 all the way to 7, almost 8 o'clock the next day, right? In order to carry over and have the solar kick in. So, if you look on the right, you see how much power was actually being generated at the highest point. But this is from the house perspective. The solar, the dark blue, is the actual house. Like, my house isn't consuming a lot for the most part. Again, stays around, except for when the AC units, you can see the AC units kick on every 30 to 40 minutes. It goes up to 3 to 4 kilowatts. But beyond that, significant power going to the power wall, and would be available to actually go out, as like this day where you see it significantly drops at noon. That's because the power walls were completely full, and the inverters had to derate themselves, in a sense, to just provide only enough power that the house needed. So that is one feature that I like that's built into the system now that I haven't heard anyone talking about, is when you have the Tesla repeaters, I keep saying repeaters, inverters, that they are able to derate themselves to the point to where they only provide the output. No matter how much solar is coming in, they will only provide what's required. And if they do that in an outage situation, you're not wasting solar. You don't have that back and forth where they turn off and the batteries have to drain to a certain amount and then they could turn back on. Now you have it where they turn on, they stay on the whole time. They just reduce their output to match what's necessary in the house. So you continue to keep that 100% on your solar. You use as much solar as you possibly can, and you're not losing that. So that's one thing I really do love about them. So, and let me show you the design. So these are the power walls. These are 3 power walls and the 2 Tesla inverters. They're the 7.6, but they can also support up to 9.6, I think, when, I guess, in off-grid mode. But I've had it reach that point to 18K, well, 16K, when it was on grid. So very impressed with them. One thing I didn't know is they are bigger than they look on pictures and video that you've seen. Bigger, but not in a bad way. They're not, depth wise very large. Like if I put my hand beside it for depth, it doesn't exceed the depth of my hand, but just the overall size of the whole unit itself is pretty big. But it's in good taste. It looks very clean. I love the way the installation team did the work. It is very clean. They did exactly what I wanted them to do, and no complaints.